So, welcome everyone, and thank you for listening. So, in today's exploration, let's talk about the shutdown response. And let me start by sharing an example from my practice. So, a client came to me. Let's call her Sarah. And Sarah, being frustrated with herself, kept saying, I don't understand why I freeze. I know I should speak up. I know I should say something. But when the moment comes, I just go blank. And then afterwards, I'm furious with myself for not standing up. She was talking about what happens in conflict, in confrontation, and in moments when she needs to set a boundary to defend herself. Her body just shuts down. She goes quiet. Her mind goes offline. And then later, when it's all over, she replays it and thinks about all the things she could have said or she should have said. She felt broken, like something was fundamentally wrong with her for not being able to fight back, speak up, or advocate for herself in the moment. Now I'm telling you what I told her. Shutdown is not a failure. It's not weakness. It's not you being broken or passive or cowardly. Shutdown is one of the most sophisticated survival responses your nervous system has. And if you are someone who freezes, goes numb, dissociates, or shuts down in moments of threat or overwhelm, I need you to understand that this response kept you alive. So today let's talk about the shutdown response, the freeze, the collapse, the going offline, or the part of you that disappears when things get too intense. And we are going to understand it not as a flaw, but as an intelligence, as survival, as your body's way of protecting you when fight and flight are not options anymore. So let's get comfortable and let's explore this together. Let me explain what shutdown actually is. Now, most people have heard of fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system response when you're in danger. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, you get ready to either fight the threat or to run away from it. But there's a third response that doesn't get talked about as much. It's called the dorsal vagal response. It's part of the parasympathetic nervous system, but it's not the calm, relaxed parasympathetic state. It's the shutdown state. When your nervous system determines that you can neither fight nor flee, the threat is too big, too overwhelming, and there's no escape. It does something super intelligent. It just takes you offline. Your heart rate drops, your blood pressure drops, you might feel numb, disconnected, like you're watching yourself from outside your body. Your thinking gets foggy, you can't access your words. You feel frozen, immobilized, and literally stuck. This looks like you're doing nothing, but you're not doing nothing. Your body is actually doing something incredibly intelligent. It's protecting you from feeling the full impact of what's happening. It's conserving your energy, and it's making you less of a target. In some cases, it's literally saving your life. Now think about animals in nature. The predator often loses interest when it sees its prey going immobile because it's programmed to hunt moving prey. This is what your body is doing when you freeze, when you go numb, when you shut down. It's saying, I can't fight this, I can't run from this, so I'm just going to disappear. I'm going to make myself less present so I can survive this moment with less damage. Now, shutdown doesn't just happen during obvious trauma. It happens anytime your nervous system assesses that you are in a situation that you can't handle through fight or flight. Maybe you freeze in conflict. Someone raises their voice, criticizes you, confronts you, and your mind goes blank. You can't think of what to say. Your body feels heavy. Your body feels stuck. And you just want it to be over. Maybe you shut down during intimacy. You're physically there, but you're not present. You're somewhere else in your head. You feel nothing. And you're just waiting for it to end. Maybe you dissociate in social situations. You're in a crowded room. People are talking. And suddenly you feel like you're watching from behind glass. You're there, but not there. Everything feels distant and unreal. Maybe you collapse when you're overwhelmed. Too much is happening, too many demands, too much emotion. And your body just stops. You can't move, you can't think, you just want to curl up and disappear. Maybe you go numb when you're supposed to feel something. Someone tells you bad news, something terrible happens, and you feel nothing. Blank and empty. And then you feel guilty for not feeling enough. All these could be examples of shutdown responses, and they all make sense. Now, for most people who have a strong shutdown response, it probably may have started when you were young, when you were in situations that were too much for your nervous system to handle, and fighting or fleeing wasn't an option. Maybe you grew up in a home where there was yelling, violence, unpredictability, and you were just a child. You couldn't fight back, you couldn't leave, so your body learned when things get intense, go offline, disappear, make yourself small, and don't feel it fully. Maybe you had a parent who was critical, controlling, or overwhelming. And when they came at you with their anger or disappointment, there was nothing you could do but take it. So once again, your body learned to shut down, to go numb, to not be fully present so it didn't hurt as much. Maybe you experienced something traumatic. Abuse, assault, an accident. And in that moment, your body went into freeze. You couldn't move, You couldn't speak. You couldn't fight. And then afterwards you felt ashamed, like you should have done something. But your body was doing the only thing it could do. Or maybe your shutdown response is more subtle. Maybe you just learned that big emotions, big needs, and big expressions of self were too much. That you had to stay small, stay quiet, stay manageable, and shutdown became your default setting. Whatever the origin, your body learned that shutdown was the safest option, and it became your go-to response when things feel like too much. Now, here is what's difficult. The shutdown response that protected you as a child may be limiting you as an adult. You freeze in moments when you actually need to speak. You go numb when you need to feel. And you dissociate when you need to be present. You shut down in your relationships, in your work, in situations where being offline is not serving you anymore. And then you judge yourself for it. You may be thinking, why can't I just stand up for myself? Why can't I speak up? Why do I go blank? Why am I so weak? But you're not weak. Your nervous system is doing what it learned to do. It's trying to protect you the way it always has. Now the problem is, your nervous system is still operating on old information. It's still reading situations as if you were the child who couldn't fight or flee. And it doesn't know that you're an adult now and that you have options that you didn't have back then. Now let me give you examples of how this possibly shows up. Now in relationships, your partner wants to talk about something difficult and you shut down. You can't access your words. You feel nothing. You just want them to stop talking. They experience this as you not caring, being cold, and withdrawing. But what's actually happening is your nervous system has gone into freeze because conflict feels like threat to you. Maybe at work, your boss criticizes you or puts you in the spot in a meeting, or maybe you're asked to introduce yourself and you go blank. You can't think, you can't defend yourself or explain, you just freeze. And afterwards, you think of all the things you could have said and you feel ashamed. In overwhelming situations, you have too much to do, too many demands, and instead of taking action, you collapse. You can't move. You scroll on your phone or stare at nothing. You feel paralyzed, and then you judge yourself for being lazy or unmotivated. Just see how this response that once may have protected you may now be getting in your way. Now, shutdown is not something we can think our way out of. You can't tell yourself to snap out of it or just speak up. When your nervous system goes into dorsal vagal shutdown, your thinking brain is offline. You literally don't have access to your words, your reasoning, or your ability to act. This is why all the advice about just communicate better, just be assertive, doesn't work for people who freeze. You're not choosing to shut down, Your body is doing it automatically beneath your conscious control. The other thing, you cannot force yourself out through willpower. If you try to push through, try to make yourself feel when you're numb, try to speak when you're frozen, you're fighting your own nervous system, and that usually makes it worse. What works in this situation is gentle, gradual reconnection. You have to work with your body, not against it. Shutdown is not permanent. You're not stuck like this forever. But healing shutdown requires you to understand first that it's not a flaw, it's a response. And responses can be worked with slowly over time. So let's work with it now. And if you think you may have the freeze or the shutdown response in any situation, any area of your life, let's meet your shutdown response. Getting comfortable now, wherever you are, eyes open, eyes closed, and keep them soft. You're going to just do a gentle exploration. You're not trying to force any activation. You're not trying to make you unfreeze. You're just going to be acknowledging what's there. Breathe with me now. And just notice your body. Notice if there's numbness anywhere. Notice if there are parts of your body you can't feel. Notice if you feel heavy, stuck, immobilized. Notice if your mind feels foggy, slow, or offline. Just notice. No judgment. Just notice. No judgment. Now, I want you to think about a time recently when you shut down, when you froze, when you went offline, when you couldn't speak, couldn't move, or couldn't be present. Don't go into the most dramatic moment. Something manageable. A moment when you wish you had been able to respond differently, but you couldn't. As you bring this moment to mind, notice what happens in your body. Do you start to feel heavy, numb, foggy? Do you want to check out right now, even just thinking about it? Just notice. Now this is your shutdown response. This is what your body does when it reads too much, can't handle, need to go offline. And for this moment only, instead of judging it, instead of being frustrated with yourself, I want you to try something different. place your hand somewhere on your body. Maybe your heart, maybe your belly, somewhere that feels grounding. And now let's speak to the part of you that shuts down, the part that freezes, and the part that goes offline. Just say this now or receive my words. I see you. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to protect me. You learned that when things get too intense, the safest thing to do is disappear. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're trying to keep me safe the only way you know how. I've been angry at you for freezing. I've been frustrated that I can't speak up, can't move, can't stay present. I have judged you for shutting down. But you were doing the best you could. When I was young, when I couldn't fight or flee, you took me offline, so I didn't have to feel the full impact. You protected me. I am not asking you to stop protecting me, but I want you to know we are not in that situation anymore. We are not the child who had no options. We have more capacity now and more resources. So maybe slowly we can find a different way. Maybe we don't have to go all the way offline every time things feel intense. Maybe we can stay present even just a little bit more. Just notice what happens when you offer this to the shutdown part of yourself. Does anything shift? Does anything soften? Or does this shutdown response stay strong because it doesn't believe you yet? Because it still thinks going offline is the only way to stay safe? Either way is okay. This is not about forcing change. This is about beginning to have a relationship with the part of you that is different from shame and frustration. Take a few more breaths here with me. And notice the change in sensations in your body as you breathe. Not forcing it, just inviting. Now press your hands into your legs. Small, gentle movements. I am here, I'm in my body. It's safe to be present. So this is how we can work with shutdown. Not by forcing ourselves to snap out of it, but by gently, gradually creating more safety in your nervous system. More capacity to stay present even when things feel intense. It's slow work. It doesn't happen overnight. but it does happen. Your body can learn that it doesn't have to go all the way offline anymore, and there are options now. Now bringing yourself fully back, opening your eyes if they've been closed, looking around you. Notice the colors, the shapes, and ground yourself in the present moment. I want you to take this with you. Your shutdown response is not a flaw. It's not evidence that you're weak or broken or passive. It's simply evidence that you survived something that required you to go offline. And now, as an adult, you have the chance to slowly expand your capacity, to stay present a little bit more, to tolerate intensity a little bit longer before your shutdown. This doesn't mean you'll never freeze again. This doesn't mean shutdown will disappear completely. But it means you can start to work with it rather than against it. And that begins with this understanding. Freezing is not failing. Shutting down is not being cowardly. Going offline is not weakness. It's survival. It's intelligence. And it's your body doing the most sophisticated thing it knew how to do when fight and flight were not options. So be gentle with yourself. Be patient with this part of yourself. It's been keeping you safe for a long time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, for starting to see your shutdown response differently. Thank you for joining me today, and namaste.